So again, let me review a little bit of what we talked about last class. Of course, we were using InDesign to make a proposal. Mostly, I was making new pages for my proposal by duplicating a current page. That current page is being driven by a master page. That master page should only have kind of the plain graphics. My mistake that I made first was I tried to put the text boxes in the master, right? You shouldn't do that. But put the common things that you would be on every page in the master, especially even if you remember the page numbering, right? We had that down there. So then you could make a page like I did where, put your text box on. There's a text tool right there to draw a text box and so on. And then I made several pages by duplicating the page itself. There's a couple different ways to duplicate. You can actually click on one of these pages and drag it on top of this little icon right here next to the trash can, and that will duplicate a page too. So if you put it, if you just drag a page using the Pages window, remember mostly in this program I use the Pages pop-up window. So you could drag from the pages next to the icon here, and it'll duplicate it and make you a separate one, and then just retype. If you did, we had overview, research. What would the other one be? Persona, maybe, right? There we go. So that would be my third page, whatever. So and so on. So you can duplicate these pages over here to make separate pages. Let's talk about bringing graphics in and wrapping the text around the graphic. So, a common way of, right now we have a big text box that goes halfway across the page, right? But I want to be able to show my samples, my sample artwork that I have. So if I wanted to bring a sample piece of artwork in, again, I could put guidelines out here, just like I could in Illustrator. Maybe I want a guideline that goes the edge of my logo here. A guideline is where you put your cursor in the rulers and drag out, just like we were doing in, I think we did that in Photoshop, right? And you did it in Illustrator, and we could do it inside of InDesign. So let's say from here to the edge of my page, I want to put a graphic right here. You can import a graphic and just draw it on the screen if you want, or you can make a box that's existing box and then drag that on the screen and then import the picture into that. So pictures are a little bit difficult to deal with inside of InDesign, and what I mean by a picture is, just a regular photograph or a drawing or any kind of graphic. And the reason why I'm saying they're a little bit difficult is the way that you might, because you can make it and put it in a window, and then you can arrange the window with the graphic staying the same. So you can actually kind of crop it in the window or make it bigger. Or if you want to actually scale it, you have to use a scale tool, this one right here. So if you want to scale the picture, you have to actually use the free transform tool. Then you can scale the picture. You can't really scale the picture within the window frame. If you try changing the window frame, it's just going to kind of crop the picture. So that's what makes it really confusing, because you might be used to just, hey, like in Illustrator where you just grab the image and then try and scale it and it scales it. Hey, it's great, but it doesn't do that here with this tool right here. So let's just show you what I mean. So if I take this box tool right here, the one with the little X, not the open one, this is the one that makes graphics. These ones make graphics. The one with the X is for importing and putting things onto your screen. So if I wanted to make a box for an image, I say, okay, I want my image to be in a box like here. Here's my box. I make a box, has an X in it. Then I can import my image into that box by using the file place, I think it'll put it in there. And then let me find a graphic. Do I have an image? There we go. Picture of me. There we go. Might not be big enough. How about we do a screen grab? There we go. And it puts it in there. Notice how, though, it doesn't fit in that window. The reason why is the image was bigger than the window size. That's what I'm trying to say, is it's not that easy to deal with pictures doing that, because the image is kind of cropped inside there because the image was bigger than the frame itself. So how can you deal with that or scale it? I believe there's a way that you could say fit the screen. Let me think about that for just a minute. I believe there's a way you can take the image and get it to fit exactly into the box. I think right-clicking on it. here it is, fitting, fill frame proportionally, fit content proportionally, fit frame to content, fit content to frame. How about that? Fit content to frame. Again, it was right-clicking on that box and say fit content to frame, and then it fitted in there. Okay. So and the reason why they have this box with an X is because you might make a layout with several of those before you import all your pictures, right? Because the other way of doing it, and I'm going to show you another way to bring your graphic in, is to not make a frame ahead of time, but go and say File. Don't have anything selected. Notice how I deselected that right there. Deselect this. Another way to bring your graphic in is just to go File, Place, and then you could select your graphic and hit Open, and it's going to give you this box. You can see the box right now. It looks like the picture, but it's waiting for you to draw the box. So I can simply drag the box, and it'll hopefully we can make it fit. Nope, there we go. Yes?
What was the first way to make a picture in?
The first way to put a picture in
Yeah.
is to draw the box first by using the box with the X. See the box with the X? That's called a frame. So the first way to put a picture in is make the box first. Because the reason why you might want to do it that way is because you want all the boxes to be the same size, right? Because if you bring in a bunch of graphics in that are different sizes, they're all going to be one will be big, small, and big. But if you make a box first and have all the boxes the same size, then you can get the graphics to fit in that box. I don't know. I'm just showing you different ways. So again, it's this tool right here, and then you draw the frame you want, and then go File, Place. And since the frame is selected, see how there's dots around the outside? Since it's selected, it'll place the graphic in there. The problem is the graphic will be the size, it won't fit. And so I had to go and shrink it down to fit into the frame.
Is there, you draw a box versus there being an aspect ratio? Because it's like the box doesn't know the same.
But it doesn't know what the graphic size I'm going to bring in. So it doesn't know the aspect ratio ahead of time. The second way that I did it, by using File, Place, you can keep the aspect ratio, right? Because I just, without making the frame first, just go File, Place, and place the graphic in there without making the box first, and it'll keep, this is a different aspect ratio than that, right? So if you just use File, Place, it's going to make it whatever size it is, and then draw the box to whatever size you want. But those are the two ways you really bring a graphic in. The reason why you would use this one is so you could lay out your thing with empty boxes first, and then place your graphics in as you're putting it together, right? Let's talk about wrapping our text around. So those are two ways I'd bring my graph. So right now, if I have my proposal here, let me go grab some text from somewhere instead of using this kind of text. Let me go and steal some text from my Wikipedia. You know how much I love Wikipedia. InDesign. We'll steal some. There it is. InDesign is a desktop publishing program. Blah blah blah. There we go. I'm going to copy that text. I'm going to go back to InDesign and let's paste it in here into my frame. Notice though that the text goes over top of the picture. So just like you have in Illustrator or Microsoft Word or any other publishing program, you can do what's called text wrapping, which means the text will wrap around the graphic. Right now, the text is over top of the picture, right? So I want to have the text wrap around the picture. So how you do that is, of course, select both the text and the picture. So I'm going to use my selection tool, select my picture, select my text, and select my picture. I'm going to select both pictures so they wrap. Now, I don't know if the text needs to be over top of the picture or so on. Like in Illustrator, the text has to be over top of the picture, I believe, in order for it to do the text wrap. Right now, the picture's over top of the text, right? You can see you can't see the text underneath the picture. So there might be you might have to reorder things before it'll work properly. I'm just warning you now. I don't know which one is which. I'm going to try it first, and if it doesn't work, then we most likely need to take the text and put it over top of the picture. Do you know what I mean as far as layering right now? You notice the text pictures over top of the text. So if I go underneath the type option, there should be one for word wrap. Let me see. It's got to be here somewhere. If I could remember where it's at, it would be great. Let me just select the graphic itself first. Let me try that. Just one graphic too. Let me try that. Select that. I think the option is there's a word wrap tool inside of InDesign, so it's a pop-up menu.
Is it under?
It's text wrap right here. Yeah, it's a pop-up menu. I'm sorry. I get confused with Illustrator and Photoshop back and forth, you know what I mean? And in Illustrator, it's in a pull-down menu, and InDesign, it's a pop-up menu here. It's under Window. It's called Text Wrap, is the pop-up window. And again, let's select the text, and then my graphics, and then here's the option. You got your first one, which means no wrap. No wrap. Second one is wrap around bounding box, which is most likely what we want because we're doing a square thing. But of course, they do have an oval one. See that? If you're going to wrap around a crazy shape. So if we say wrap around text box here, it'll wrap it around, and you'll notice it just automatically just did it. Did you see it? It didn't matter what the order was. Then you can actually move your graphic around. Once you choose that option, you can actually move your graphic around. If I grab my picture, I can move it. As I move it, the text will automatically rewrap. Do you see that? It'll automatically rewrap. Now, if you don't want your text to wrap around both sides, do you notice how it's doing this? Because this is a common problem. See that? Where the text is wrapping here, and then this picture is not big enough, so it starts wrapping over there. You can adjust that in a couple different ways. I believe this option, no, not that one. You can push the indent maybe out. Both sides here, wrap to right and left side. Right side only. Oh, but then it pushed it down. Sides towards spline. No, it's not going to work. Left side. Oh, left side worked. There you go. That's the one I wanted. So it has a lot of controls. Remember, this is a publishing application used to make books. It has to have a lot of controls for things like that. There's all kinds of small controls to be able to do that. So I think that's about what I'm going to talk about as far as, if you want, you should probably use InDesign to put your proposal together. If you want, you can use Word if you really want to, but this will probably make your proposal look a lot more professional, being able to have logos, layouts, page numbers. I know you can do page numbers in Word too, but it's it's kind of flexible with the ability to wrap text, and the design capabilities of InDesign are a lot better than Microsoft Word. And then the problem with trying to do it in Illustrator, and I do have a video on my website about how to make the proposal in Illustrator. I do have one there. I think I linked it for this week. If not, I'll find it again. But that, this is much more powerful, much more easier to use. Illustrator, you would have to make different artboards, right? And then the artboards, and I showed you that right before we left, I think, last week. Didn't I show threading? Or was that was in the Illustrator class, maybe? You should really consider InDesign. Okay, let's talk about getting out of this, right? We want to take our information and get it out of this program. How do I export it out? Okay, so there's a variety of different ways. Of course, if we just go under File, Save As, it's going to save an InDesign file. And I can just save it. If you go under File, Save As, you have different versions of InDesign. You got a template and an InDesign 4. I'm not sure why they have different versions. So you have different versions of InDesign. But if you want, there's a variety of different ways to export it out, right? You want to make a PDF, right? You want a PDF. PDF would probably be the best way to send it to somebody. It'll keep the formatting of the font, right? And things like that, even if the person doesn't have the font. So that's what the purpose of the, if you go underneath, there's Adobe presets. There's a variety of Adobe presets for PDF right there where it says Adobe PDF presets. Now, these presets are used primarily for making a standard PDF, okay, a standard PDF. What I mean by that is it's kind of like the PDF that you open up in Acrobat and you read it. But these are just the plain ones, okay? You got high quality print is a really good one to choose. I don't really use these older ones here. I usually, you got press quality, smallest file size, and high quality print is what I usually choose, okay? And by default, that's a pretty good setting. So if you choose that one, it's going to come up with, where do you want to save it? Right now it just says desktop, and it's going to go into the PDF options. Inside the PDF options, there's a variety of different options inside there. You got to optimize for fast web viewing, create tagged PDF, view PDF after exporting. Hey, let's view it when we're done. And then they have hyperlinks and all these things. Most of these are for if you're going to make an interactive PDF. I think I was explaining earlier last class about how powerful Acrobat has become. Acrobat has the ability to make interactive capabilities. You can have hyperlinks. You can have a table of contents where you jump from one page to the other. You can have it in presentation mode where it takes a PDF and it covers the entire screen and it acts almost like PowerPoint, right? You can make PDF and Acrobat work just like PowerPoint. It's covered the screen and it looks like it's just a standard presentation. You can have videos, I believe, embedded into Acrobat now, or at least a link to a video that plays in there, and all kinds of capabilities. Compression, by default, it's going to take big files and compress them down. I've changed the compression sometimes inside of Acrobat just to try and make my Acrobat size smaller so it's less than 20 megabytes, because you have that like the 20 or 25 megabyte limit to email somebody, right, in a PDF. And I've had people that I know try and make PDFs and email them to people, and the problem that they ran into is they were making a PDF and it was larger than the 25 megabyte limit that was in the email. So some ways I got around it was this, by compressing the file smaller, and you'll notice it will say you got different options. You got different quality. You can go to low quality image quality for your thing. So it's going to compress it's going to re-JPEG your images, right? What this option is telling you, hey, you have a bunch of photos inside your PDF. How do you want to deal with those photos? Do you want to compress those photos, right? If you compress the pictures that are in your PDF, this is what it's asking you, it's going to make your PDF a lot smaller. So if you're having problems saving your PDF to a specific size, one way to go about making them smaller is to go into the compression option here and reduce the quality maybe of your picture. I mean, you're balancing size and quality no matter what you're doing, So color images, grayscale images, monochrome images, that's your options here. And then you got bleed and marks. These would be marks that go along the outside of your image so that you can trim it if you print it on a larger piece of paper and so on. That's what these are. And then output, you can do a color conversion to a specific ICC profile. These are different profiles that you could choose. I didn't really talk about that too much. And advanced options, not sure. Security, you can password protect your PDF, right? You're sending it to grandma and she wanted to make sure that she has to log in to see it. And then of course summary. So when you're all done, you hit export. The most important thing is to remember the compression. And it'll go and it'll compress it for a PDF. Notice it's a single page PDF, and you can scroll, scroll, scroll. It doesn't really have a table of contents. You do have thumbnails over here, but I didn't make a table of contents and stuff like that. That's more of an interactive one. Let's talk about another way to export out. Inside of inside of InDesign, you can actually have more options. So those were the basic ones. Save an InDesign file, InDesign file. Save a PDF, just straight export, this one. Adobe preset right here, boom. But you have an export option right there. Do you see export right there? Let's go to that one. Okay, inside there you have a variety of other options. Here's your other options. Now, I think I was showing you the iPad last class, right? Remember the iPad? And I said, hey, look, you can take what you do in InDesign and put it onto an EPUB. Remember I talked about that? Okay, well, here's an option, EPUB. Okay, you got EPUB reflowable. Reflowable is the one that rotates. Okay, no, I didn't plan that. You would want to plan that ahead of time. There's a way that you can plan one that is made for EPUB. Now, we didn't do an EPUB one from the beginning. So if you're going to make an EPUB one, though, you should kind of plan it from the beginning, how it's going to rotate and stuff. And there's those capabilities in there. But you have all these other options. Again, the first one is kind of the same. The Adobe Print PDF, it's the same as the one we just did. Same kind of one. But then you have EPS. EPS stands for Encapsulated PostScript File. What that is a printing file. Right? When you send your files from your computer to the printer over there, your files are talking PostScript. That's the language. That's why Adobe has a big building in downtown San Jose. It's not because they have Photoshop. It's because they own the technology between the page you see on the screen and what comes out over there. PostScript. So that's what EPS. I saw Jean was saving the files. It's EPS for your monster thing, right? I saw her doing that, right? That's my monster. But she was using EPS. EPS is a kind of a universal format that is great for going from one application to the other. It's like a basic format. That's why she was using it. But then you have, again, the EPUB we were just talking about. If you want somebody to be able to open it up in their e-reader on their iPad, you could choose EPUB right there. And it'll open up on their iPad. In the e-reader option, in the program that's on your iPad. And then the reflowable one is made specifically for it. And then, of course, Flash. I mean, back in the early days of InDesign, not early days, but like, a couple years ago, 5, 6 years ago, they were really hot. Adobe was like, hey, we're going to take whatever we do in InDesign and put it into Flash format. Okay, they were planning that, but little did they know that Steve Jobs was going to say, we don't want Flash on our products, especially on our iPad. So that kind of defeated this purpose right here and this purpose right there. HTML, it'll make a web page, and it's not very good, so I would avoid that. InCopy is kind of a design software program from Adobe. It's usually, the purpose of iCopy within the Adobe framework is that you can share files with other designers and they can add to it. It's kind of like a collaboration piece of software. InDesign Markup, I don't really know. InDesign Snippet, I don't know. And of course, JPEG, PNG, and XML. I haven't really tried those yet, but we'll have to get to the XML one, of course, for next semester. But those are the options you have. Again, if you wanted to go to the e-reader on your iPad, you would choose the EPUBs. Maybe try it. Put it into an email, send it to your iPad, and click on it in your attachment and see what it opens up. It should open up whatever reader you have on your phone or on my tablet. I think I tried it one time. I can't remember. Sure it worked. Hopefully it worked. Okay, is that cool? Can we look at your stuff now? I've been talking for 2 days now about this program. You need to just try it.
What did you say EPS was?
Encapsulated PostScript file. It's a It's the language that thing over there talks. That laser printer. So when you want to send a file to the laser printer, that is like the most universal. It's like the basic language. Right? Now I can send that in an InDesign file and it'll understand it. I'll send that in Illustrator file and it'll understand it. I'll send that a Photoshop file and it'll understand it. But it's just like it's like taking your file and making it down to the raw, bare bones PostScript.
And which one do you say is collaborative?
The InCopy haven't really used, but what I've read about it as far as on the Adobe website is that it's a collaboration software that you can send and share with other. It's more for copywriters, right? But it's a person who writes content for things, right? I write content for a website. I'm a copywriter or a technical writer, right? I write things for technical stuff. I think it's more of a collaboration. That's the way I read it. I don't know. We can go onto the Adobe website and look at it. Okay, let's look at what you did. I could sit up here and talk all day. You know that? Yes?